Welcome to Blue Health Daily.
David was only 35 years old. He exercised regularly. He rarely drank alcohol. He tried to make healthy choices whenever he could. And every morning, he started his day the same way. A large glass of freshly squeezed fruit juice. To him, it felt like the perfect habit. Natural, refreshing, packed with vitamins. A simple way to fuel his body before work. Then one ordinary phone call changed everything. After a routine medical checkup, his doctor called with unexpected news. His liver enzymes were elevated. Signs of insulin resistance were beginning to appear. And further testing revealed something even more surprising: early-stage non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. David was stunned. How could someone who rarely drank alcohol develop a condition that looked so similar to alcohol-related liver damage? What went wrong? The answer begins with a misunderstanding that millions of health-conscious people make every day. A misunderstanding about sugar, fruit, and what really happens when fructose reaches your liver. Welcome back to Blue Health Daily. Today, we are looking beyond the marketing and exploring the science behind fruit juice, fructose, and liver health. Let us begin. When most people look at a nutrition label, they see one category: sugar, and naturally assume that all sugars behave the same way inside the body. But human metabolism is much more complicated than that. Different sugars follow very different biological pathways. Two of the most common simple sugars are glucose and fructose. Glucose is the body's primary fuel source. Nearly every cell can use it. Your muscles use glucose during movement. Your brain depends heavily on glucose for mental performance. Your organs use it to support countless daily functions. Once glucose enters the bloodstream, it can be distributed throughout the body and used wherever energy is needed. Fructose follows a very different route. Unlike glucose, fructose is processed primarily by the liver before it can be used elsewhere. After fructose is absorbed through the intestine, it travels directly to the liver through a special blood vessel known as the portal vein. That means your liver carries most of the responsibility for handling fructose. When the amount is small, this is not a problem. The liver manages it efficiently. But when large amounts arrive all at once, the situation changes dramatically. This is why researchers have become increasingly interested in the effects of the concentrated fructose consumption, especially in liquid form. Under normal circumstances, your liver is remarkably capable. It performs hundreds of essential functions every day. It stores nutrients, produces important proteins, regulates blood sugar, filters toxins, and helps maintain overall metabolic balance. When a moderate amount of fructose arrives, the liver processes it smoothly. Some of it may be converted into glycogen, a storage form of energy that can be used later when needed. The challenge begins when the liver receives more fructose than it can comfortably manage. This often happens when large amounts of liquid sugar are consumed quickly. As fructose intake rises, the liver starts converting some of that excess sugar into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. In simple terms, this means creating new fat from excess carbohydrates. The fat produced during this process is packaged into molecules called triglycerides. Some triglycerides enter the bloodstream. Others remain inside the liver itself. A single glass of juice is not likely to create serious damage overnight. Human health rarely works that way. The concern comes from repetition. When this process happens day after day, year after year, small amounts of fat can gradually accumulate within liver tissue. Over time, this may contribute to insulin resistance, elevated triglycerides, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in susceptible individuals. The danger is not one serving. The danger is the long-term habit. At this point, many people ask an important question. If fruit contains fructose, why is whole fruit generally considered healthy? Why would juice create different results? The answer lies in something incredibly important: fiber. Let us compare two situations. Imagine sitting down with a fresh orange. You peel it. You chew it. You slowly eat it. The natural sugars are trapped inside a complex structure of fiber and plant cells. Your digestive system has to work through that structure before the sugars are released. If you enjoy oranges, apples, berries, or grapes, eat them in their natural form whenever possible, relatively stable. And the fiber helps you feel satisfied. Now imagine drinking a large glass of orange juice. To create that single glass, several oranges may be squeezed. Most of the fiber is removed during processing. What remains is largely water and concentrated fruit sugar. Instead of taking several minutes to eat one orange, you can consume the sugar from multiple oranges in less than a minute. The liver receives a much larger load in a much shorter period of time. That difference matters. It is not because fruit suddenly became unhealthy. It is because the structure that naturally regulates the delivery of sugar has been removed. Fiber is not just filler. It acts like a built-in biological braking system. And when that system disappears, the body must deal with nutrients in a completely different way. The consequences of excess liver fat do not stay confined to the liver. Your liver sits at the center of your metabolism. It helps regulate blood sugar, manages cholesterol, processes nutrients, and coordinates energy throughout the body. When excess fat begins accumulating inside the liver, a chain reaction can begin. The first problem often involves insulin sensitivity. Under healthy conditions, insulin acts like a messenger. It tells cells when to absorb and store nutrients. But when liver cells become overloaded with fat, they may stop responding efficiently to insulin signals. To compensate, the pancreas produces more insulin. Over time, this can lead to chronically elevated insulin levels. And elevated insulin makes it easier for the body to store fat. The second issue involves triglycerides. As the liver creates and exports more fat, triglyceride levels in the bloodstream may begin to rise. Elevated triglycerides are often associated with increased cardiovascular risk. The third concern is long-term metabolic health. When insulin resistance, elevated triglycerides, excess body fat, and inflammation begin working together, the risk of developing metabolic disease increases significantly. This is one reason non-alcoholic fatty liver disease has become so common around the world. It often develops quietly, without obvious symptoms, and many people do not realize anything is wrong until routine blood work reveals a problem. To better understand why our bodies respond this way, it helps to look briefly at human history. For most of human evolution, sweet foods were relatively rare. Fruit was seasonal. Honey was difficult to obtain. There were no convenience stores, no vending machines, no oversized sugary beverages available 24 hours a day. When our ancestors discovered sweet foods, those calories were valuable. The body evolved mechanisms to store some of that energy for future survival. In an environment where food shortages were common, storing extra energy as body fat was a major advantage. It helped people survive periods of scarcity. But modern life is very different. Today, highly concentrated sources of sugar are available almost everywhere. fruit juice, soft drinks, sweetened coffee beverages, energy drinks, desserts, and countless processed foods. The challenge is not that human biology suddenly became defective. The challenge is that our environment has changed much faster than our biology. A system designed for occasional sweetness now faces a constant flood of concentrated sugar. This mismatch may help explain why metabolic disorders have become increasingly common in modern societies. At this point, some people become concerned. If fructose can create problems when consumed in large amounts, does that mean fruit itself is unhealthy? Not at all. Whole fruit remains one of the most nutritious foods available. Fruits provide vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, water, and most importantly, fiber. That fiber changes everything. It slows digestion, improves satiety, and helps regulate how sugars enter the bloodstream. For most healthy individuals, eating whole fruit as part of a balanced diet is associated with positive health outcomes, not negative ones. The issue is not the apple. The issue is not the orange. The issue is concentration. When fiber is removed, and large amounts of sugar can be consumed in seconds, the body's natural protective mechanisms become less effective. Nature packaged fruit intelligently. Problems often arise when we alter that package. The good news is that protecting your liver does not require extreme measures. Small daily habits can make a meaningful difference. First, choose whole fruit more often than fruit juice. If you enjoy oranges, apples, berries, or grapes, eat them in their natural form whenever possible. Second, reduce your intake of liquid sugars. That includes fruit juice, soft drinks, sweet teas, sports drinks, and many bottled smoothies. Liquid calories are easy to consume quickly and often provide very little satiety. Third, pay attention to ingredient labels. Many packaged foods contain added sugars hidden under different names. The less processed your food is, the easier it becomes to understand what you are actually consuming. Fourth, stay physically active. Movement helps your muscles utilize glucose efficiently and supports overall metabolic health. You do not need an intense workout program. Even a daily walk can provide meaningful benefits. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep affects hunger hormones, insulin sensitivity, and food cravings. A well-rested body is often much better at regulating appetite and metabolism. And finally, focus on consistency rather than perfection. Health is rarely determined by a single meal. It is shaped by the choices we repeat day after day. Let us return to David. The problem was never the orange. The problem was never fruit itself. The problem was misunderstanding how the body handles concentrated liquid sugar when the natural fiber has been removed. Fortunately, the story does not end there. One of the most remarkable features of the human body is its ability to recover. When given the right conditions, the liver has an extraordinary capacity to repair and regenerate itself. That is why understanding the science matters. Not because it gives us another reason to fear food, but because it helps us make smarter choices. True health rarely comes from extreme diets, miracle supplements, or complicated biohacks. More often, it comes from respecting the simple principles that have supported human health for generations. Whole foods, regular movement, quality sleep, and moderation. Sometimes the healthiest choice is also the simplest one. Instead of drinking your fruit, try eating it. Your liver may thank you for it. Thank you so much for spending this time with us on Blue Health Daily. If you found this discussion helpful, please subscribe to the channel and join us for more evidence-based conversations about health, longevity, and living well. And as always, take good care of yourself. We will see you in the next video.